and all I got was claps. It was supposed to be music. I have had more technical difficulties with this in the last 3 weeks than I can imagine. Now, if you're there and you are listening, please click something and let me know that you're there. We've had problems making sure we are broadcasting, and right now it again does not look like it's broadcasting. Oh man, this is just, and I do not know why. Let's see. Well, it's broadcasting at least to me. But apparently I'm not getting comments. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Well, you know what? This is going to live on YouTube, so let's go with it anyway. Dave Fennoy here, still experiencing technical problems with my Ecamm Live. Did a test with, oh no, we do have people. Maybe it's because of the last couple of weeks. Woohoo! Thank you, Susan, for letting me know that you are there. Anyway, a couple announcements to make. One, I noticed some people were asking questions about what they thought of the casting company Sound and Fury on Facebook this week. And I think very few things a voiceover actor can do would be more silly than going online in a public forum and chewing up somebody who hires you. Come on. This is just not smart. It's just not wise. And yeah, if you're going to say nice things, yes, you can say nice things and that's okay. But it begs the question of, if you're asking for comments and what do you think of, somebody's going to go, I don't like them. They're this, that, and the other. Well, everybody don't need to know everything about how you feel. And in this business, it's a people business. So if for some reason you do not get that these very talented people at Sound and Fury are working in your best interest, well, I hope you wake up soon. Now, just word to the wise. Also, well, I teach. And before the pandemic, I was teaching a lot all over the country, in Europe. And now, with the pandemic, I had to stay home for a long time. But now, I'm going to be teaching outside of LA again, outside of this little box that we're all looking at right now. Going to be in Las Vegas, September 11th and 12th. At Melissa Moates' The Voice Actors Studio, and you can go to their website. Oh, wait a minute, I set this up. There it is, yeah. Character development for video games and interactive entertainment, Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 5. That's the 10th and 11th, so not this weekend, but the 10th and 11th of September. And it's going to be hybrid, so if you'd like to be there, if you're somebody that lives nearby or want to drive to Vegas, you can be there in person. But you can also do it virtually, and we will have flies on the wall. So for a much lower price, you can be there to see and hear it all, as happens with the flies on the wall. Well, enough of that madness. Let me introduce you to my guest, just a dear friend who I've known for years. She used to direct me when I was one of the voices of the WB. And in looking at your resume today, I learned things about you that I did not know. I'm always amazed when I bring friends of mine on Ask Dave Fennoy Anything. I find out things that I just had no idea about. You were an agent for a couple of years.
Yes.
Well, wait, you know what? I haven't really introduced you. Joyce Castellanos, my dear friend, and a voiceover maven. She teaches, she directs. She was an agent for a little bit. And let's just find out how you got started in this wacky business.
Oh, as a director in audio for promo at NBC in the way back is how I first got started. And then, Warner Brothers and the WB television network. But when it came, I was working with Danny Dark, John LaFontaine, and at the time it was the announcers and Jerry Bishop and Peter Cullen. I mean, these were crazy times, but they were announcers. They knew what they did. They came in, they did their thing, faster, slower. Thank you. That was the direction. And then when we went over to the WB, and it went, from announcer to conversational. There was a transition not only for the actors but for the writers and for the directors, because we really had to understand how to what conversational meant, and then we had to understand how to direct the talent to that. So
it was a learning curve, not only for those of us who were being the booth announcers, but for you. So what was the lesson that you learned to help somebody who was who maybe had come out of years in that school of heavy announce? How do you get somebody to not be such a heavy announcer?
Well, first off, that's when I started training myself, taking classes, becoming a trained actor. Excuse me. So I would know what it was like to be in the booth, okay, and how to get the performance that I was feeling would be appropriate. I also have a degree in English, so the conversation is, as far as I was concerned, was trying to find the flow, find the phrasing rather than the individual words, and so I help people get out of their heads and into their heart.
Yeah.
And
But let me back up for a minute. You mentioned some of the legendary names. I did not get to meet Danny Dark or spend any time with him, but he was just an amazing voice actor. I always felt like he had a very conversational read in the things that he did. Now, I know the world disagreed with that later on, but he had this warm and, I thought, conversational way of talking about things.
I agree. I mean, he was cool jazz. He was the cool jazz, and that was genuine.
Yeah.
That was really genuine. He was
He-
an amazingly wonderful man and very, very easygoing. He could tell a story.
I one of my favorite commercials of all time was one he did. It was for AT&T, and he's
Oh.
playing a guy who's calling this girl that he met and asking for a date, hoping against hope she remembers and likes him, and she does, and he's just hangs up the phone and it was so honest and regular and normal. I, I didn't know you were going to mention Danny Dark. I might have found it so I could play it here. But that one, every now and then a commercial still hangs with you. That one has always hung with me. And of course, you mentioned the late great Don LaFontaine, who was a friend of mine, and he was just the best. And one of the things he used to tell me, read poetry, read poetry. Yes, make yourself cry.
Well, and he loved the spoken word, right? And
Yes.
so he had this ability to just come from his heart, and that was what made him him. People tried being like him, or that they wanted to sound like him, but it wasn't the sound. It was him. It was his being, who he was, that he could connect to what he was talking about. There is a pattern of the announce that's a little maybe a little larger, a little different beats, and that's where the difference that I saw came between the announcer style and the conversational style, where it was just a little, as I'm sure everybody in the voice industry has heard this statement. We want to take the polish off,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? So it's not about perfection, it's about honesty. So it's not telling you what to do, but inviting you.
Well,
So
let's
that's how I was seeing it.
listen. I got to pull up a few things here that Let's see. Well, there's Charity James. Hi, Dave. Love Joyce. There's oh yeah. Oh, Ann Ganguza. Hi, Dave. Love you, Joyce. Oh, this one's just for me. Hi, Dave and chat. Hope everyone is well. Glad to see you got the video stuff sorted out. Thank you, Todd, because it was a mess for 2 weeks. Let's. Oh, this one's for me too. Sorry, it's my show. I get to do
Oh no, you
this.
go. This is great.
Sean Bird, hey Dave, hope all is going great. I played the War for Wakanda expansion last week, and the voice performances and accent from you and your co-stars were absolutely amazing. I also watched the launch party panel, and oh my God, was it beautiful and touching? A message you all talk about. Okay, great. A War for Wakanda. It's a Marvel expansion on the Marvel Avengers game. Came out last week, and I have to.
Well, I love what you're doing on your video games. You're amazing.
I'm having fun. I'm having a lot of fun. But wait. Let's see. Oh yeah, Pamela Tansey says hi, Joyce. Hi, Scott. We've got hellos from Cheryl Hartman. And Stefan Johnson. I don't know if you know Stefan. Great talent, and he's my biggest problem. I'm always too announcery. Stefan, I can help you with that. Holla back at your boy, okay? Let's see. And somebody else, Dave Clark. I remember that commercial. Wow. Oh, you'll love this one. Charity James, looking gorgeous, Joyce.
Oh my God, you're so kind. Thank you.
And another one of my favorite people, Everett Oliver. Hi, Joyce. Big hug to you, and you too, Dave. See you soon. Now, I feel special that he said you too, Dave, because usually he gives me shit.
Oh, Everett, my goodness. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I love you all.
Fantastic! It's so wonderful to have you on. Now, let me get down to business. How did you get started in this business? What was the first thing that you did?
Oh my God. The first thing I did was I was an executive secretary to the VP of promo at NBC. So I got introduced to promo then. I had no idea about voiceover. I didn't know anything about voiceover or voice acting. But as I stayed in that department and I started going into the booth and learning myself, that's when it started. And I found I loved it. I mean, I was doing audio and video, but I loved the audio so much. And it became just part of what I did and who I was. And when I was at the WB, and like I said, I started training myself, going to classes to become a better director, to understand what it was, to look at scripts, break it down, figure it out, feel it. And that was in the mid 90s when I started taking the classes myself. What I realized that was that I started teaching because I was realizing that people were coming from different genres and not understanding promo, because that was my focus at that time. And so that was a big step. I was able to talk with the VPs of the department at the WB. They let me get copy and material. And, I was able to start teaching. With Nick Omana was my coach.
Got to get Nick on.
Nick was great. And his studio, he said, come use the studio. And I started primarily promo at that time. And it was
I got a question for you here. Now, you're stepping into the promo world, and what's your definition of promo? What are you, if you were going to tell somebody, oh, this is what I'm looking for somebody who's going to do promo, what would you be telling them?
Oh, well, now it's very different. Before it was the big voice. Now it is, the understanding of the shows. You've got to look at patterns. There are basic rhythms and patterns to promo, but there's no one read. Every show is a little different. There's a personality. Every station or network, it's a personality. There's, understanding that you don't need to be bigger than the spot itself. You're guiding it along. You're inviting people to join you. One of the things that I've started teaching a lot of when I'm doing promo in particular is to define where and how the spots are used, because that is a different thing.
So give me some examples of that.
Okay, yes, if you are doing an episodic, you're talking about the spot, that the show that's coming up. So you're familiar. You're not looking for an audience. You're talking to the fans.
You're talking to the audience.
You're talking to the people who know and love that show.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Right. So if you're doing a generic, that's more looking to let people know about a show that they may have missed. So there's a different intent. If it's a launch spot, it's a completely different thing.
Because you're introducing some people to something they don't know about.
Right. It's a show that they haven't seen. It's coming up. You want them to know so that they are engaged and interested. So you want to find a little bit of a hook. So yes, there are different ways for different purposes. That's another thing that helps you figure out your approach to the script. Finding those cues that tell you what, where it is, what your involvement level is, and your familiarity.
I've got a comment here. Got to bring it up. Lonnie Manella, is promo still largely male dominated?
It's still male primary, but it's been expanding. It's hugely expanding. And it's not just for women to be on the women's channels. If you look at the affinity programming, which I call it affinity programming, Food Network, DIY, HGTV, all these individual channels, sports, you have women that are doing promos for these shows on different stations. And the reason is that you're looking to different audiences. So it has definitely opened up a new world. Plus, you're not looking for the perfect male voice. You're looking for someone who can relate,
who connects with the audience that you're programming for. It's interesting when I'm teaching promo now, because I used to do it. It's drama and comedy. You can't do that anymore.
No.
And one of the things I tell prospective students is, you don't have to be the big voice or the sexy voice or any particular kind of voice. You have to find your niche, because I have what I call it lifestyle television.
Okay.
Because, we got guys that are swimming out there for alligators and driving trucks across ice. And we've got home shows, and we've got people that do all kinds of things, all kinds of hobbies, interested in, ancient aliens. So there's some promo for just about everybody. So just because the big jobs are ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, doesn't mean you can't have a good career being a voice or one of the voices at one of these, I'll call them boutique channels.
That is such a great point. And that's what people forget. I think a lot of times people think of promo for the networks, but you only have 5 networks. You've got hundreds and hundreds of stations, and and different cables, and the streaming. And I mean, they don't promote on the streaming channels, but they promote on other channels. Yeah. So they all have a promo. So I wouldn't worry so much. I don't worry so much about the network. You want to understand what the network's doing and going, but I wouldn't worry about that being your focus. There's so much more out there. And the lifestyle, I like that lifestyle, because that is, and there are the different sports. It used to be Sunday. It's not that anymore. For most other sports, it is still there. Everything that was is still there, but not as much. And so now it's opened up. People want to hear somebody that sounds like them. They don't want to be necessarily, told what to do. They may want to be invited. They want to think, oh, I can do that.
Oh yeah, and can. Tom Weekly has a comment. In addition to more women in promo, are you seeing? Well, it's actually a question. Are you seeing an increase in BIPOC and LGBT plus representation?
Oh, I think so. I would think that there is again, like there are shows for everybody, there's work for everybody. I mean, if you look at commercials, you're seeing integrated lifestyle all over.
Yeah.
You're seeing the lifestyle, and you're seeing couples and families. Everybody's integrated. It's my dad used to say, well, would you look at that? Now, my dad just passed last year, 2 weeks shy of 106.
Oh, God bless him.
Sharp as the friggin' tack, and he was fantastic. And he was such a lovely human. And so he was saying, did you notice this family, this couple, this whatever? And I said, yeah. And I was waiting to hear why he was asking that. And he said, it's about time. They're just getting people ready to accept that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the best way to say it, because it's true. You are seeing, all different lifestyles and walks of life together and on screen. So I believe that it is opening up, and not by what you think somebody should be, but it's open to everybody. Everybody.
We see everybody, and
someone who looks like you.
Yeah. Thank goodness that commercials, they're a reflection of society and also drive society. And I think there are people that are like myself that are happy to see, hey, everybody's getting some representation here. And there are other people who need to see everybody getting representation so they can get over themselves and just get used to it. So now you've been teaching for 20 years or so. Started with people wanting to do TV promos. What other areas do you work in?
Well, so after becoming an agent and working with different kinds of scripts, commercial, e-learning, narration, documentary, though, those are also, and commercial, of course, those are, now it's expanded. I do not, I direct animation, but I do not teach animation.
No.
There is you and some very qualified people who work in that side of the industry that know what goes on in a session. Those are things you need to know as you're learning. So I do not. I refer. I don't teach that.
Well,
I try to find, a good place to guide people.
Well, I teach the things I do the most, and I started with video games because I had more notoriety in that than anything else at the time I decided to start teaching. But I also, for animation, because animation and video games are two different animals.
Yes, they are.
But I do teach promo, I do teach narration and basics of voiceover, and I wouldn't trust somebody who said they could do it all.
Yeah.
You can do a variety. Nobody can do it all. You just don't have enough experience with everything. But so you went from promo, and how did you discover your teaching method for narration? If somebody wants to get into narration, God bless them if they're going for audiobooks. What are some of the tenets that you would share with them?
I believe it's very important to watch a lot of narration shows. You really have to understand the cadence, the intent, and so the best way is not to. You're not going to try to be somebody else, but you need to understand how things work. You know, when you're doing when you're doing a narration, you start with a cold open and then the body of it. You have to understand what the use of that is to, but view as much as you can. Try to understand the different types. There are so many different types of narration. I mean, narration isn't just, ancient aliens. It's also biographies. It's science.
Medical narration. Ah!
Oh, yeah. And like you said earlier, though, it's not about being right for everything. You have to define where you're best suited and where your markets are, what your range is. You don't have to be good at everything. You just have to be your very best at the things you do.
You know,
And it's better than everybody. It's just better, your very best.
I get this question a lot on versatility. I happen to be a fairly versatile person in the things that I do. And I get the question from students, well, I can't do all these voices. I can't imitate these people, da da da. And I go, you know how many voices Don LaFontaine did? One.
He did
He
not.
was the most successful voiceover actor ever, and I'm not sure we'll ever have anyone else like him. It is so not about I can do this vast array of characters. If you can, fantastic.
Right.
It will be your superpower. But if you've got a great you that you can do, you can have a fabulous career.
Amen. That is so true. So it's not about being like anybody else or doing so much that they can call you for anything. When somebody hires you, they want you to be able to do what they need.
Yeah.
And so you have to be prepared, and you have to know that this is your thing and this is what you do, and you can make adjustments, you can take direction, and you can make changes on a dime.
Yeah.
But you do have to know what you're really good at. And if I may, I have to quote I have to quote Jess Harnell for something that I use it. I use it as a statement that I make. He said, somebody said, "My God, you're so good at all this, and I bet you can do anything." He says, and if he's been on or he said this, I apologize, but I have to tell you, you don't show your oh my gosh, your kryptonite. Don't show your kryptonite.
Yeah.
That is such a great statement. If you're given something and it's not really what you do, the last thing you want is for that to be what the people hear.
Yeah.
But it's not really you. In this industry, it is not unusual to say, "Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity, but you know what? I think so and so would be really good on this."
Well, so many of us just aren't quite secure enough in who we are and what we do to do that. But I do think this happens more in the voiceover community than it does in any other performance community. I've got a question here from Dan O'Leary. Hi, Dave and Joyce. When doing promos, do you have to be available and ready to work 24/7? Thanks.
Oh, yes, that was the golden handcuffs.
Golden handcuffs.
Right, Dave, as well as anybody, you were on call all the time.
I'm still on call all the time.
Surprise.
I'm not under contract to anybody right now for promos, but doesn't mean I don't get promos, and I get, I could be doing anything in the day, and so and so needs you. How soon can you knock this out? And when you're under contract, even more so.
Right, right, and that is absolutely true. I mean, well, if you have to be careful of what you wish for, because you do have to commit, and you have to be ready to turn things around. Promo is known for last minute everything always.
Oh, yeah.
So you really have to be ready and set up to go. If you're at dinner, you got to find a way to get out there and
And
turn.
leave the wife and kids, or the husband and kids, and get to the studio. Yeah, it's a little different now because we all have home studios, and of course it was the promo guys first. And I say promo guys because it used to just be promo guys
Right.
who had the home studios first. But now everybody has a home studio. And back when you and I were working together, this is before ISDN.
Yes.
And I could get a call to be over at the WB Ranch at 11 o'clock at night to knock out some promos, or over at ABC to knock out some promos that had to run in the morning. And it was just the way it was.
Right. Right. It's absolutely true. And hopefully they're a little more, you know, hopefully they're not doing that all the time. But yes, I mean, if you want to do that gig, that is what you have to be prepared for. But it comes with the territory.
Yeah, well, and it is one of the most lucrative things you can do in the voiceover business. And since we're talking about it being a business, I usually try to talk about it more as the art, but as the business that it is. The guys who are making the most money in this, that's what they're doing. When I say guys, I mean guys and gals. That's what they're doing, unless they're celebrity voices on some commercial or something. 225 plus 10, but you're working for a network that, you've got their dramas at 10, and the comedies at 8, 8:30, 9, 9:30, and you've got tonight, this week, next week, all of those tags. It all adds up. Gee, I need another contract to be at. Give me the golden handcuffs, please.
They changed that too because of the timings. They haven't had as much time for promos, so they're not necessarily doing the standalones in the 30, 20, 10s. They're doing a lot of block spots too. So blocks are really important to be familiar with also. But the difference with the union or non-union, the networks are really the only ones that are union right now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but the best thing about that for people to understand is that the non-union, it's really considered no union. Union never went after the stations, and so that is not under their jurisdiction.
Yeah.
So if you are not union and say HGTV calls, there's no problem. You don't have to be worried about someone looking over your shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah.
So but their pay is different.
I got a note I got to pull up here. Nick Miller, hey, how you doing, man? He's watching from Australia, and I'm trying to fight doing my bad Australian accent for him. So, Nick, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I promise. Ed, what's going on? Ed Weagle. Hi, Dave and Joyce. Nice to see and hear you. Yeah, there you go. I know these are some people you know. Got a question here for you. Hi, Dave and Joyce. When doing oh, nope, that's the one we just captured. And you kind of answered this a little bit. How much promo is union versus non-union? And what you said pretty much is the networks are union, and the cable stations typically are not union.
Exactly.
And by the way, if you have some questions, go on and get them typed in there. I promise I've made a commitment to myself to get to more questions and not just my own. And Maurice A. Scott, what's the difference between non-union and, probably non-union and union? I think he just kind of mistyped it there.
Right.
And he probably means in money.
Yes, and non-union, as when I was an agent, what I understood to be non-union was a company that was originally union. They did not want to re-up it with the union, with SAG-AFTRA, and therefore went non-union. But the no union is those that have never had the contract. That's how I understood it at that point. But with promo, there's really not, there's no union or there's union.
Yeah, and a lot of times the difference will be if you're working union, you're getting paid by the spot, by the tag. So 225 plus 10, and tags are about 100, and that adds up. They might put you under contract where they're paying you more beyond that, or double scale or something like that.
Yeah, it's
But
great per day.
generally, if you're working for a cable channel, they're probably going to have you working for a set fee based on, okay, we're going to pay you X amount of dollars for up to this number, and if we go over that, maybe we'll pay you a little bit more. But it's usually you're going to get this basic same amount every month. But you know what? I've been under that kind of contract. I'll do it again in a
Absolutely.
heartbeat, in a New York minute. Um, Question here, John Meisner. From an agent perspective, Joyce, do on-camera credits help for landing character work, and should you have separate resumes for VO and on-camera?
But that's a great question. I do believe you should have separate resumes, definitely, because your on camera is different from your voiceover work. However, as far as the credits, I don't know if it. I don't know what you know the answer to that is, because it's changed. They're using a lot of people from on camera to work in the voice acting, and it depends on how big it is. How big are you in the on camera?
Well, I don't think they're going to use many on-camera actors, not serious working on-camera actors, for promo if they still have viable careers. And I know Dorian over at NBC, who's been doing that for ages. We were on a cartoon together. He was doing that as well as acting on TV and movies. But the contract for being the voice of NBC was too good, and we may never see him on camera again because he's making too much money doing that. But ordinarily, on camera people don't want the golden handcuffs
Right.
of the promo world. Oh, somebody wants to say hello, Vanessa Gilbert.
Vanessa, hi baby. Your birthday's right around the corner. Happy birthday to you. I
And for those who don't know, Vanessa Gilbert is one of the best agents in town for voiceover. She was my agent when I was over at Tisherman, and she is a future guest on Ask Dave Fennoy Anything, whether she knows it or not. Let's see. Oh, Lanny. Celebrity voicing commercials. How often does this happen in general? And if the voice is not recognizable, what's the justification?
Oh, so well, I'm not sure how much. It seems like a lot more these days, because everywhere you turn, you're hearing voices that you're going, maybe that's recognizable. Maybe do I know who it is? If it's not necessarily recognizable to each and every one of us, I have always said it. It seems to me that it's just the production company or the director or somebody wants to say they worked with so and so. Because if it's not a recognizable voice, why?
Well,
And
I'm going to say it's beyond that, although I think it's some of that too. Um, I remember going into VoiceCaster, and this has to have been 10 years ago, and they had a list of clients of commercials that you were not going to get to audition for because they were using celebrities. And it's a long list, and it's still a long list. And I think it has to do with a couple of things. When we were talking about being conversational, being yourself, being real, So many actors, they haven't had to learn how to do this kind of thing and make sure that they've got the polish in their voice. They're just being themselves. And when they can be that character, know who they are, who they're talking to, what their motivation is, they can just say it, and there it is, and it just works. So I think that's one of the reasons. Also, we're a society that's a little celebrity crazy. We're so celebrity crazy, we invent celebrity. We have shows where we put real people on, the real people of this place, and now we're going to make you a celebrity.
Right.
What's wrong with us?
Well, and you know what? I think you're absolutely right that is part of it now. Before, when it was more of the announce, then they had to have somebody that was representing them, and if they like it, then the public's going to love it. But yes, one of the things that I found when I was working with people that were more on camera, not trained in voice acting, they had a hard time being natural because they're used to responding to another person, and instead they come in the booth and they're looking at a mic and they're saying, what am I supposed to do? Where's my
a mic and words on a page? You got to take the words off the page. You got to create that whole world beyond those words.
Right.
Question here from Venus Crute. Got it right that time, Venus. When you're under contract by a network, how long are the contracts? 1 year, 6 months?
Dave, I mean, it depended. When we at the WB, we had maybe 6-month contracts. Back in the day at NBC, it was probably at least a year or years. But it just depends on the network and the contract. The minimum. No, it's not a minimum. Some places will do a trial for maybe 3 months, but normally the trial would be 6 months to see where you go, see what kind of stuff you do.
I remember I was under contract year by year with the Disney Channel for a number of years. With the WB, it was a yearly contract. No contract at ABC, but I worked a lot there. And I was under contract SoapNet when they started. I was under contract to them. So it can go either way. And it's nice when you have one. I've had a few where it was multi-year and it's just, yes, I know that check is coming every month. Fantastic.
And David, when they had the contract, though, when you had the contract, was it a daily rate? Then
Yes.
And they would track how many spots, because if it went over that, they'd have to compensate.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Well, this is our buyouts becoming more prevalent in the States, e.g. amount of money per hour. Not so much amount per hour as how much you're getting paid every week, every month, something like that.
Is that for promo or for commercial?
I think he's thinking promo.
Okay, yeah.
And of course, he'll probably write in and say, no, that's not what I was thinking. Oh, wow. Todd, good question. What are some of the big differences between a commercial read and a promo read?
Oh, that is good. Promo read is... Okay, so the promo read, you're being interrupted by sound bites. So it's a rhythm and a cadence that you're looking at, being able to expand or contract a line to fit within a certain space, and tie into what the sound bites may be. Commercial is a whole story that you need to know your character throughout. You want to find a rhythm with that too, but that's where the conversation comes in. Understanding what impact you have, defining, are you the end user or are you the provider of the product or service? You have to understand where you're going with that, and then take on the characteristics of someone talking to another human being, one or two human beings, not a field full of people. So it's really more of a constant character that you want to provide information on that product or service. The other is just commercial to tell what the show is about.
Yeah. I also think the promo world is one of the last places where you can make it with style. If you've got a certain style
Right.
that fits this particular package, you can do that. But the only thing about having that style, sooner or later, that style is going to go out of style, and hopefully you'll be able to do something else. Don't get yourself trapped in that one thing, that one read that worked for a year or two, and now they've replaced you with somebody younger and more conversational, and you're like, what happened? Got a question here from J. Horace Black. Hey, Dave. I'm an on-camera guy, but I really liking the VO life versus having to do wardrobe fitting, going to set for many hours to the point now that I am only liking the VO opportunities. Looking forward to when we can do Facebook Live coaching session. I was going to do a Facebook Live coaching session, just take 4 random people, and that's when Facebook just, we're not working for you today. It was, in fact, Facebook. It was Ecamm Live that wasn't working for me that day. But, that's interesting. I think in the long run, a career as in television and movies, if you have a successful career in that, you're probably going to make more money than the average voiceover person. But in the world of TV promos and cartoons especially, they're very different in how they get paid. But that can be very, very lucrative. That can be very, very, and if you're working commercials all the time, that can be very, very lucrative.
Well, Dave, I'm sorry, that there are many on camera actors who had some pretty good careers going who liked that they didn't have to go out for their auditions, they didn't have to do any of the other stuff, and they did. George DeLoyo,
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
actor,
Well,
right?
once again, though, when George became the voice of Fox, and George is one of those creatures that can do comedy and drama,
Yes.
and English and Spanish speaking. Um, he is unique. He was like a Don LaFontaine. That most of us don't do that. I have a great career. I used to tell people I'd be teaching or talking to a class about voiceover work, not teaching a class about voiceover, but in a high school or something. And I would talk about Don. Well, Don makes $30,000-$40,000 a day. I said, man, it's just not fair. I got to work 2 or 3 months to make that kind of money. And my point being that you can have a really good career and not be the number one guy in the world, because if you're making $30,000-$40,000 in a month or two, you're doing all right.
Not bad. Not bad.
Let's see if I got another good one here. Well, this Todd Weekly guy, he's back. What kinds of things would you look for in a promo demo? Oh, that's a very good question, Todd. What would make you stop listening to one? And I'm going to add to that, what would make you continue listening to one?
Oh, good. Okay, so demos need to really reflect, obviously, the range that you have. But if you start out with something slow and boring, that's going to knock it out right away. If you need to have something that is your money voice, basically your style that you're really known for, but that has some impact. I think it should have a really good flow. It needs to be a continuous variety. Not your range might not be huge, but you have nuance between the attitudes. Okay, but if you start with a sound that is like everybody else, forget it. You're not looking for a sound. We're looking for a human behind the voice,
Yeah. It,
real person.
if you can do a great Don LaFontaine, you'll book a few gigs doing Don LaFontaine, but you won't create a career doing
Right.
Don LaFontaine because we've had Don LaFontaine. You really have to find your signature voice, and I really think this goes across the board. That doesn't mean you can't do a lot of character voices and other things, but people need to know, they need to get a sense, whatever the demo is, a sense of who you are, that thing that you do. I think in so many terms, uh, we should look at the character actors that we love. They always seem to be playing themselves, and they always give us a certain feeling. There's something about them we like, or we're afraid of, or that makes us laugh, or makes us pay attention. We want to find that thing that we have, that is in us, that is special and unique, and bring that to the table.
What you right? What draws people to you? You know, if it's your sense of humor, if it's a quirkiness in your sound that you create that personality that goes with it. So I think that's really important, and to be true to yourself. Don't try to be things you're not, because what you do, and others may not be able to do that. And so trying to do something that's outside of that range, that's comfortable, that's something you can reach each time, then you're setting yourself up to, yeah, for failure. Because if they want this and you can't reproduce it because it maybe your voice isn't that low that day, or you can't quite catch that character again, that's going to be detrimental. And you want to show who you are. Your agents need to know who you are,
Yeah.
and the demo has to reflect who you are, so they know when they're sending you out, they know
What you're gonna, what they're sending.
exactly. So I hope that helps.
So let me ask, what's the biggest mistake you think people make when they step into voiceover and their approach to reading copy? What's the thing that you always hear that if you could just pull it out of them with one sentence, you would?
Don't try to be someone you're not. I hear people always trying to make it sound bigger or better, or more fabulous, or something that feels non-organic. And that always, it just puts you out of the moment. Your fear fear could do it. You're nervous about what's going on or what you're about to do. Am I going to make the right
Choice.
decision? Choice. So if you, yeah. So the choice is always the issue.
Yeah.
You know, and oh, but I heard it this way, so I want to do it like that. That's the trap that people get into, is I
Right.
have to do it like they do it. No.
It's being the musician that learns to play like all the great musicians, but never finds their own thing.
Oh, that.
And so much of it I think is a psychology of not thinking you are enough.
Oh, yes, yes. Um, give yourself permission to try
Yeah.
anything,
Yeah.
right? And know you're working in this now. Find the comfort of who you are and what stories you want to tell.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, let's see. You surprised the heck out of me today when you said you'd moved to Las Vegas. And my friend here, Trey Mosley, moved to Las Vegas. And it's such a small world. I'm always surprised by the number of people that I know or I've worked with or I've coached. That I bring somebody else on and they've coached with them and worked with them, somehow know them. And so when Trey comes on and his greeting is, "Hey, Mama Joyce," I know y'all know each other.
We do.
There's some familiarity here.
We are looking forward to getting to see each other here too. This is so cool.
Yeah,
I know. So,
I'm going to check him out in a couple weeks when I'm up in Vegas. So we're gonna hang out a little bit, and we'll probably have to add you to the mix when I'm there too. Now wait a minute, we got just a few more minutes. Nick Miller, I just popped it up, didn't read it. I'm absolutely loving this. Is there any way I can cheekily send you my demo?
if you're sent it to me, absolutely, you may. I would. I mean, I'm happy to listen and give my 2 cents. But remember, everybody's got 2 cents, so you take it with what it is. When
So
I,
true,
if
so true.
I would love to take a listen. You know, it's my email is my,
How can people get in touch with you?
so that would be my email is good. Uh,
And can if I were faster typing, I'd just put it up. What's your email?
so it's my name, Joyce dot Castellanos, which is Castellanos at gmail.com. Now, here's the thing. Emails can go by the wayside so easily. But you're welcome to text me. I am really good with that. And my number is 805-573-5257. So even if
You don't know what kind of calls you're going to get.
right, but even if you want to send it via email, that's great. Just text and say, "Hey, check your email." And that's
And you know what else? Just a word to the wise. The people you want to reach are people who are doing something. I know how busy I am, and often I miss a call or well, usually I'll find the text eventually, but definitely emails sometimes get lost in the shuffle. They don't get open. They've gone to junk mail. Uh, be persistent. Be persistent without attitude. It's not like I'm trying to ignore you. It wouldn't be like you were trying to ignore somebody, but we all have things we're doing, and sometimes things slip under the crack uh, or into the cracks, and we just need to, keep be persistent. Come
and
back.
mentoring is what I love to do. So I have no problem with somebody saying, "Could you just take a listen?" You
Yeah.
know, I love that. That is absolutely no problem at all.
Okay. Well, a few more little comments here. Charity James, Joyce is the best at what she does, and such a kind person. And you know what? Uh,
Thank you.
Knowing you for the years that I've known you, this is since the '90s. Wow. Uh, and you have always been this very warm, kind, giving person. And that's always been appreciated. Let's see. Michael Sessoms, thank you, Joyce and Dave. You're such a joy and appreciated. You are welcome. Let's see
Oh,
what else we have. Dan O'Leary, thanks for sharing your insight, Joyce. You inspired me.
good.
They don't get better than that. Theo Mezzacapo, thanks for all the advice, Joyce and Dave. Much appreciated. Ann Ganguza, we love you, Joyce.
Have you?
I've had Ann. I'm going to have her on again at some point.
Oh, she's
Uh,
fantastic.
uh, you know, I'm blessed in the number of wonderful people I know in this business that are willing to come on and share themselves and their thoughts and ideas just to help other people get their voiceover program together. And you tops on the list at that.
Well, we
Um,
love you, Dave. Believe me, and
uh,
appreciate all that you do because you're bringing information, great information to people, and we're all happy to be here
well,
with you.
it's funny. I had a couple of people ask me, "So, well, you're bringing on other teachers. Isn't that cutting into your business?" Oh, my business actually isn't teaching. You
Right?
know, my business is as a voice actor. I make some money teaching, but um, the reason I do this is so people get good information because I have seen how many bogus voiceover teachers there are. They had a couple of good years and oh now well I better teach. but they don't have the experience and the knowledge. When you have been in this 30 years or so, 40 years or so, you understand that old saying, well, I've forgotten more than you'll ever know. Um, Often for me, and people ask me questions, oh, well, I actually took that for granted. Let me, let me answer that. Some of the things that I think anybody would know, they don't. But you need someone, you need people who have been around this a long time.
Right. And
Yeah.
Dave, the one thing too, if I can make it real quick, the a good coach is, I believe, someone who can find, pull out the information and the performance for the individual,
Yes.
not based on, oh, this is what I do, therefore that's what you should do. No, this is, so whether
Ah,
you're
yes, that read sounded like me. It was wonderful.
right. So you appreciate the fact that you do what you do, but others have to find what they do.
Yeah.
That's the sign of a good coach. That's a good director.
Yeah.
And somebody that says, "Well, do it like me because that's what I know." That doesn't help the individual reach
No.
their potential.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, 7:01. I try not to keep people longer than that hour, I promise. And you've just been so wonderful, as you always are, Joyce. And once again, people can get in touch with, she's easy to find. If you Google Joyce Castellanos, you will find her. So I'm going to say goodbye so you can get your dinner. And,
thank you again. Love you
thank
all.
you. Love you back. Yay, Joyce. Woo-hoo. All right, a couple reminders. This, as well as all the Ask Dave Fennoys, will live on YouTube at my YouTube channel, Dave Fennoy Voiceover Training. If you are interested in doing some voiceover training with me, you can stop by davefennoy.com and book yourself. I am doing demos for video games only. I like to have worked with you, and if you're somebody I haven't worked with, I would want to do some kind of assessment, but, I've got a little room for that. A reminder, on the 11th and 12th of September, I'll be in Las Vegas at the Voice Actors Studio, teaching character work, voice acting for video games. And if you stop by thevoiceactorstudio.com, you can be there to take the class, or take it online, or take it as a fly on the wall who gets to see and hear it all, but I would not be directing you. In the meantime, I will see you next week, and I'm so glad this was working this week. Oh, you have no idea. And book something, okay? See ya.